Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Pick Up Sports Talk. I'm Brandon Schiffman.
And I'm Spencer Stein. We're going to switch things up this week and start with college football, but I just want to say that Saturday may have been the best sports day I've ever experienced. I said that a ton last year. This time I mean it. Great college football, insane MLB playoffs. This is some of the best MLB playoffs ever. We're actually going to be getting to the NFL third to switch things up. So we're going to start with the game of the week. So far, the game of the year. I think it'll stay the game of the year. And my prediction was correct. Tennessee beats Alabama 52-49. Hendon Hooker establishes himself as the Heisman favorite. Hyatt had 5 receiving touchdowns for Tennessee. Brennan, give me some game summary.
I just overall just want to say really enjoyed this game. I feel like games like these only come around every so often, so you really have to cherish moments like this.
It's this year's game of the century.
I think so, yeah. I think one of my friends actually said it reminded him of the game LSU versus Bama a few years back, and I couldn't agree more. I think there were a lot of similar qualities to that. But let's just dive right in here. Hendon Hooker versus Bryce Young is an absolute just head-to-head matchup with one of the best we've seen. But like you said, Jalen Hyatt's probably the guy you got to talk about when you talk about this game. 6 receptions for 207 yards and 5 touchdowns. He was the majority of their offense, but I almost think that would be unfair to say because just I felt like everything was going right with Tennessee's offense.
And I want to talk about Bama. I said that they would win this game with Jahmyr Gibbs going off, and he had 3 touchdowns still on 100 yards.
He's so good.
He's really establishing himself as I think he's better than Bijan for sure.
Close.
He might be him and Corum are probably the top 2 running backs right now in college football. So it was a great game. Speaking of the LSU comparison, I'm comparing this Tennessee team to that LSU of 2019. It was kind of an outlier team led by a quarterback that kind of came out of nowhere, even though he'd been around college football, and that's Hendon Hooker. And it's like Tennessee, they've always been an established SEC program, but I don't expect them to be great after this year. But if they could go and beat
Nico Imaleva, who
I know,
$8
but
million NIL
if they could go beat Georgia in 2 weeks and really finish the season like that, it's gonna be so similar to that LSU team. But I doubt they beat Georgia down in Athens. We'll predict those games later. But Tennessee, after winning this game, was ranked 3rd in the country behind Georgia and Ohio State. Do you think that was correct?
I think that's fair considering Alabama was 3 going into the game because not that they've been bad this year, but we'll get to that later. They've had some questionable games, for sure. Yeah. They had a questionable game against A&M and a questionable game against Texas. Although that they're Alabama and they still are one of the most talented teams in the country, I think it's somewhat of a fair take.
That's a horrible take by you. Why should Georgia be ranked ahead of them? I understand Georgia's a more well-established team, but shouldn't take into account other years. It's about the resume. It's about the strength of resume. Same with Ohio State. Ohio State hasn't beaten anyone near as good as Alabama. I think Tennessee should for sure be ranked 1st in the country.
Head-to-head, though, Ohio State and
But it's not about head-to-head. Who cares about head-to-head? It's about their resumes head-to-head.
Okay.
Who has a better win? Who has a better resume? Who has a better quarterback? Hendon Hooker's outplaying Stroud and Stetson Bennett. Georgia should be favored when they play Tennessee. And if I'm taking a team head-to-head, I'm probably taking Georgia. Ohio State, Tennessee's kind of closer. I might lean Tennessee. I'm not sure yet. But it should be all about the resume and the rankings. Bama was pushed back. So do you think
Tennessee should be 1 in the country
Yes,
now? Okay.
No doubt. I think it should be Tennessee, then Georgia, then Bama. And I think Clemson should have stayed ahead of Michigan. Even after Michigan's win against Penn State. They won that game 41-17. There's not much to say there. Corum ran all over Penn State's defense. And it's not about Corum. It's about that Penn State couldn't touch him.
Correct.
He wasn't getting touched. He was running 8 yards before he got touched.
Michigan's running back core as a whole was just absolutely torching Penn State. I think that their defense coming into the game was, I think, the 2nd highest ranked in the FBS. And you look at it now.
Look at their schedule.
You look at it now, it's like they have had a very, very easy schedule. But Corum wasn't even the statistically the best running back in that game.
No, it's Donovan Edwards.
Yeah. He had a better game. I think overall, Michigan, although JJ threw an interception, if they have a level of a running back core now that you think against any defense that really isn't top 10, they could torch it.
Overreaction. You're fawning over Corum and Edwards. They're great. Yeah. Corum, I just said a minute ago, is top 3 running back in the country. Yeah. But saying this Penn State defense statistically was top 5 has no meaning at all. Watch the game. They didn't touch Corum. Yeah. He didn't break tackles. He didn't have good jukes. Michigan kept handing him before. No, I know, but Michigan kept handing him the ball, and he kept not being touched.
So you're using the fact that Penn State's bad defense against Corum was already proven he could.
No, Corum will be fine. I'm just saying that I think that to say this game specifically is what breaks.
No, it's not this game. I'm saying in general, Michigan has the level of running back core where they can just run through.
And they're going to have to keep relying on that run game because,
Yeah.
as you said, JJ didn't look good. And by the way, their defense, as we were hating on them last week, didn't even prove much to me. Clifford looked horrible. He got subbed out.
Clifford just did not have a good
I want to go back to Bama, Tennessee for a second because I would kind of use Michigan as a transition. But I have one more thing. Do you think Bama still has a path to the playoff? And we're going to give our playoff predictions.
It'll be
in a
tough
few
for them
minutes.
because you and I probably both agree that Georgia would beat Bama head-to-head.
Yeah.
Or at least that's my opinion. So they need to win. Correct me if I'm wrong. They'd probably wind up facing Georgia in the SEC championship
If they win out.
So I think it'd just be very tough for Bama to win out or to get to the national championship just because as of right now they're behind Tennessee and Georgia in the SEC.
I mean, they're going to have to win out, period. That's the only way. And winning out's going to be tough. They have ranked Mississippi State at home. They're in Baton Rouge. They play at Ole Miss, which is the only other team that could make the SEC championship from the West. And they have a game at home against Auburn to finish the season. Iron Bowl, which is tough. Plus, they're going to face either Georgia or Tennessee again. Let's get to what I honestly think this was almost as good of a game as Tennessee-Bama.
It was close, yeah.
Utah, USC, 2 for 2 with my predictions there. Utah wins by a point.
Yeah.
Do you want some game summary? You want me to get into it?
You can get into game summary.
Okay,
I have
so
some takes.
first Utah was clearly playing with a purpose for 2 fallen players of theirs who had died to gun violence in the past few years. And a lot of people are arguing over the referees favoring Utah. And I would just completely disagree. When I was watching the game, I just thought they were favoring USC with the call at the end of the game. Utah got an interception on pass interference, but they kept running, and due to an inadvertent whistle, the clock was blown dead. And also, there were 2 targeting penalties called on USC, so people were pointing to those. Those were actually called back. There's really only one bad roughing the passer penalty where a USC player hit Cam Rising after, and it was actually a good call, I thought. So I don't think the refs played a part, and I just think Utah won the game at home. They were the better team, and the ripple effects are going to be large in the Pac-12.
I agree with that, but coming into this game, I was super high on USC. Not necessarily losing that. I still think that they're one of the most talented teams, but like we said about Bama, their road just got like 5 times harder.
And yeah, this was the prove-it game for Lincoln Riley, and he didn't quite live up to it, even though they almost won.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said last week, I think if there was any game to lose, it'd be this one. I know Eli argued that game would maybe be on the road against Oregon or against UCLA. Or they don't play on the road against Oregon, against a tough UCLA team.
Yeah.
So I think USC, if they could win out, beat UCLA, win the conference championship against Oregon or in a rematch against Utah, there's a chance.
They need a lot of stuff to fall into place.
And I doubt it. So we'll get to the playoff in a minute, as I keep saying, because there's tons of teams in the SEC. I mean, we could have 3 SEC teams make it. But talking about the path in the Pac-12, I think there are paths for teams. But as of now, USC is probably 3rd in that line, maybe 2nd. The Big 12, is there a path there? TCU this week beat Oklahoma State 43-40, staying undefeated. They seem like if any team's going to make it out of the Big 12, it'll be them. Because Texas, I think, might be the best team. They've already have 2 losses.
2 losses, and Oklahoma State now has 1. I think TCU has shown great things. But I think it'll be really tough for them as well just because of a lot of factors. I also don't think the Big 12 is looked as highly upon as conferences like the Pac-12, Big 10, and SEC. But with that being said, TCU did they upset the Cowboys and showed a lot of people a lot of things with this game.
Yeah, it took 2 overtimes. I wasn't personally watching this game, but I want to say that I've been watching a little bit of Max Duggar's clips. Dugan, whatever. And although he is not flashy by any means, he's a game manager in the way that I expect Spencer Sanders to be. I thought Oklahoma State would win this game. I had them winning the Big 12 preseason, and the reason they lost this game is just because it came down in overtime where they made a mistake first. But when we're looking at these team styles of play, I actually think it's pretty similar. That could be arguable, but they both ran the ball 22 times in the game. They both have game manager type quarterbacks. They both have Big 12 type defenses. But I think if any team's going to make it, it's going to be TCU. And if they run the table, they should make it. They have a few challenges left, though, including on the road in Austin in a couple weeks.
I think head-to-head Texas could win that game. That's a little bit of a spoiler, though, for a few down the line.
Yep, and then one more quick game, Syracuse. I was wrong about that one. Beat NC State 24-9. So we're going to start with Syracuse for our predictions. They're at Clemson this week. Do they have a shot?
I think there's a shot. With that being said, I have to take Clemson. Their resume is better. Cuse has the record they have now. Although the NC State one was big just because NC State's a ranked team, I don't think they've beat any other ranked teams to this point. Clemson's had a decently hard schedule up until now, so I think I'd have to take Clemson here. Yeah,
Clemson just had a big decisive win in Florida State.
Yep.
Clemson's the better team. Syracuse will never beat them. You could give me 20 years. I doubt Syracuse ever beats them. I think they keep it close. I think they keep it around that 13-point spread, but give me Clemson. UCLA at Oregon, 10-9. Yep. This might be the game of the week. Who you got?
So UCLA is the undefeated team. With that being said, I'm going to take Oregon here. Other than their absolute blowout loss against Georgia, I've liked Oregon thus far. I don't love Bo Nix, but I think there are some good things going on there. I like what they're doing. So
I actually think Bo Nix has shown improvement. He's
gotten better.
The threat of him running or passing has shown a lot.
Considering where he started the year, it's definitely gotten a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. And although UCLA has proven a lot to me, and I've doubted them a ton this season, I will still take Oregon at home. I think Eugene's a tough place to play, and I think that as good as DTR is, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson's really put himself in the Heisman race, and I think if they win this game, they're actually catapulted to likely to make the playoff. Have a good shot. It's all just going to take one more win at USC, but they need to run the table to make it. And I think they fall just short here in a close one in overtime.
Next game, Texas, Oklahoma State, Big 12 matchup. You want to start with your prediction?
Yeah, sure. Texas. I think I've been expecting Oklahoma State to run the table in the Big 12. After a loss last week, I have no reason to keep picking them to go undefeated. They're not making the playoff period, and Texas has been playing like the best team in the Big 12 since Ewers was back. I think they're going to go into Oklahoma State and win that game.
Yeah, I like
Stillwater.
I like how you said that. With Ewers head-to-head with anyone else in the Big 12, give me the Longhorns.
Yep.
All I need to say about that. Ole Miss, LSU, I want to start with mine. I've been doubting Ole Miss for a large portion of the year, and I'm done with that. I've honestly been liking Jackson Dart and Lane Kiffin recently. I think overall they're just the more talented team in this game. That's why I'm going to have to go with the Ole Miss Rebels.
You're flipping, I'm flipping. I've been picking Ole Miss all year. I've said I think they're underrated, and I think I've been saying Jackson Dart is being overlooked. Dart. But they are playing here in Baton Rouge.
Yep.
I know they got embarrassed by Tennessee at home just a few weeks ago, but they also beat Florida on the road last week. This team has improved behind Brian Kelly. LSU's favored by a point for a reason, so I will take LSU at home here just because otherwise we'd have no disagreement, and I think this game is genuinely a coin flip. Brandon, give me your lock of the week.
My lock of the week, TCU minus 3.5 versus Kansas State. After seeing what they did to Oklahoma State, I think they will have a pretty good game against Kansas State.
I don't know. Kansas State's a good team. They've been upsetting.
They're legit.
I don't love that one. I like my pick. Wake minus 20
and like your pick.
Wake Forest minus 20.5 versus BC. Boston College, I expect to play Clemson tighter a few weeks ago at home, and they didn't. Seeing that they're on the road this week against Sam Hartman-led Wake Forest Demon Deacons team, I think Wake Forest blows them out here. I know 20.5 is a lot of points to give, but that's what I'm taking. Brandon, you got an upset?
My upset's boring this week, but because it's a marquee matchup, I'm letting it slide. Ole Miss over LSU.
It's not an upset. The spread's 1.
Okay. That's my upset.
Great pick. I'm taking Tulane to lose. They're finally being ranked. Last week, James Madison was finally ranked, and they went down. Give me for the second week in a row. Team no one expects to be ranked going down at home against Memphis. College football, though, Brandon. So we've talked about all the shift in conferences and how there's going to be ripple effects just this week off of Tennessee's win, off Utah's win, off TCU's win. Give me your updated playoff predictions.
So as of right now, the top 2 teams I still have making it. And then it gets kind of hazy.
So, do you have Georgia winning out? Tell me
I have
the
Georgia
path.
winning out, and I have Ohio State winning out. I think they're going to beat Michigan in their big matchup at the end of the year. Then it gets weird because you've Clemson. I have them winning out as well. I don't think that the rest
3 undefeated teams. Ooh.
I think it's going to be tough, but Clemson has beat some pretty good teams. They beat Wake Forest as 21 and NC State as 10, and they're facing Syracuse as a 14 this week. If they can win all those games, I see it happening for them. And then it gets weird because you're going to have Michigan with 1 loss, Bama with 1, maybe potentially more than 1 loss. I have Tennessee losing to Georgia. So basically what I'm beating around the bush to say is Michigan versus Tennessee for my 4 seed because I think Alabama could potentially end up with 2 losses.
No Pac-12 team, no Big 12 team?
I think it would be very difficult, and that's my fear.
Okay, so I'll go through mine. I also have Georgia and Ohio State winning out. I think Georgia beats Tennessee at home. I'll outline the SEC scenarios right now. Any SEC team with 1 loss, I think, gets in. And I think that Georgia, if Tennessee goes down against Georgia, and Alabama, because that game's going to determine who makes it out of the East into the SEC championship, and then Alabama goes and wins out, which I think they will. Alabama's going to need to run the table to get in. The SEC championship I have Georgia beating Tennessee. They're not going to beat Georgia. And that's what's going to take, and I hate picking that because last year it's exactly what they did to get in the playoff. But I think Bama goes down to Georgia, and you see an undefeated Georgia team, conference champion, automatic 1 seed. Tennessee then is sitting there. The committee doesn't like... The committee doesn't like teams that didn't even go to their conference championship, let alone win it. But they're going to have 1 loss against the 1 seed, so that's going to be a team I'll put to the side for now. Undefeated Ohio State, I have making it. Clemson, I hate to bandwagon off your picks, but I think that they will have to go
undefeated. The rest of their schedule just makes sense.
The rest of their schedule just makes sense. That ACC's weak, so I think an undefeated Clemson team makes it. And then you have in the Pac-12, I have a 1-loss UCLA team. Actually 2 losses. I can say USC beats them. Oregon, I think, is going to make the conference championship with 1 loss. The winner of that between between USC and Oregon is going to have a chance. Same with the Big 12. I think a lot of messy stuff happens now, but TCU, if they go undefeated, they'll make it. But if we're sitting there with a one-loss TCU, Big 12 champion, and a one-loss Oregon or USC Pac-12 champion, and a one-loss Tennessee, no conference championship.
You're not even including Michigan in the
Why would they be in it over Tennessee if they each have one loss and no conference championship, and Tennessee has a win against Bama? Why? There's no reason Michigan would even be in that conversation. Because what I'm about to say is that I would actually take Tennessee over those two conference champions. I don't know what the committee does, but if it comes down to a one-loss Tennessee, a one-loss Pac-12 champion, a one-loss Big 12 champion, give me Tennessee all day. So that's going to be my playoff right now. Let's move on for college football from now. MLB playoffs. Great playoffs. The games on Saturday were utterly incredible. Let's talk about the NL first. The Padres upset the Dodgers. This is a thriller. I saw articles saying you might as well hand the World Series to the Dodgers now. They spoke too soon. What do you have to say about the Padres?
I think that the Padres have proved a lot of people wrong. I mean, mind you, we broke the news about the Tatis thing, and you and I said that the Padres were not done for, but it would be extremely difficult for them to make it out. They've made it out thus far, and they've proven a lot of people wrong. With that being said, I think the star power is really helping them, and now I'm sitting here thinking, imagine how good they'd be with Tatis. I mean, they just have it all going right for them.
I mean, Kim's playing pretty well at shortstop. I mean, obviously Tatis provides star power that's intangible, but it's really their environment. Same thing with Philly. But late game, like in Game 4, they were down 3, and they rallied and scored, I think, 5 runs in 1 inning. In today's game, they rallied and scored 5 runs in 1 inning. It's those electric rallies that have come into play. And Soto hasn't even been that good consistently, but when big moments come, he's been hitting. When big moments come, Josh Bell's been hitting. The guy who's been doing it all the time is Manny Machado. Manny Machado's really been putting the team on his back. Their pitching's been solid. Josh Hader's back.
Oh, yeah.
So everything's really going right with San Diego. And then Philly's same exact thing. That environment's actually topped San Diego's. There's been nothing like it. And the fact that they took one game in Atlanta basically ended the series. Because if you watch those 2 games, there was no way the Atlanta Braves were taking either of those games at Citizens Bank Field. So for both the Padres and the Phillies, all it took was taking one game on the road to finish those series. Today, the Phillies won Game 1 on the road. Today, right now, I hate recording episodes while games are happening, and I want to be watching it. The Padres are up at home against the Phillies. Brandon, who you got in the series?
I'm gonna take the Phillies here. I think Bryce Harper has. I mean, it's not I think thing. It's a fact. He's been absolutely electric all postseason. He's averaging, I think, like 400 right now with 7 RBIs. I just think right now the Phillies look to be the better team in the series.
And how about Kyle Schwarber?
Yeah,
he's been going off that bomb last night. He hit 488 feet.
Miles per hour.
I know, it was insane. The reason I'm taking the Phillies here is because they've earned the home field advantage after winning Game 1. And even though they're going to go down Game 2, I'll take them. I think the Padres are honestly playing better than them. I like their lineup. But the fact that Zach Wheeler goes head-to-head with Darvish, and I think Aaron Nola has been pitching well. I don't really trust Blake Snell. Even though the Padres have the better bullpen, even though they have the better lineup, I think Philly, fueled by their fans, takes this series in 6 games. They're going to have to win another in San Diego, though, to take it. I think they get the job done.
Yeah, I'm for sure loving the MLB playoffs. We need to switch over to the ALCS, though.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I was transitioning. My bad. Let's start with the Astros sweeping the Mariners. I think you and I both agree, the Astros, whoever they faced, were going to look good, but I didn't expect it to be this good.
I mean, I don't even think they looked that good. All I wanted to talk about was the second best MLB game on Saturday, probably the 4th best game in general. 18 innings, no runs until the Astros scored one in the 18th to win that game 1-0. Their offense didn't look great, but yes, they're the most dominant team in the playoffs. And they have great pitching. That's how they were able to go that long without allowing a run. It's just disappointing for the Mariners. All those fans, their magical season, not being able to score a run in 18 innings. That's pretty disappointing. But I want to move on to Yankees-Guardians.
Go ahead.
So the Yankees won this series in 5 games. The Guardians honestly might have looked like the better team. There was the Rocky and the baby thing, all that stuff. I want to ask you about the rain delay. Do you think that the MLB was rooting for this rain delay, and how much did it get screwed over the Guardians?
I think it definitely hurt them. I don't think the MLB necessarily was rooting for it, but with that being said, there's always going to be that kind of theory that the league was trying to help the bigger market of the 2 teams, so that's why I think that it happened.
Yeah, I agree. They're not trying to rig it, but I really think that if it wasn't postponed, the Guardians win that game. Both teams would be playing out of the bullpen. The Guardians' bullpen's better. Because it was delayed a game, the Yankees were able to go with Nestor Cortez on the bump, who's been unhittable this year. Yeah. And I don't understand why the Guardians didn't throw out Shane Bieber on 3 days rest. I think that's really what they had to do. So, Brendan, in the ALCS, who you got? And I want to mention, I'll do my prediction first. The Astros, by the way, Yordan Alvarez has been the best player in these playoffs. And Julio Rodriguez was electric for the Mariners, even though they didn't win 3 games. Just wanted to get that in there. He's a star in the making. But Yordan Alvarez, I genuinely think him and Machado are the 2 best players in the playoffs. I think the Astros win this series 4 games. Sweep them. Mm-hmm. I think they sweep them. They're all rested up. The Yankees pitchers are all tired. I mean, Nestor went yesterday on 3 days rest. He won't be able to go for a while. Garrett Cole pitched just 2 days prior. Like, looking at tonight's game, Verlander's on the mound against Jamison Tyone. Yeah. That's a lock for the Astros. They're the better team before these playoffs. They're more well-rested. They've looked unstoppable. I think they sweep them.
I think Astros in 6. I think that the Yankees could potentially make a push just based on their offense. But the truth is, like you said, the Astros pitching is going to probably be better for the vast majority of this series just because of the way the Yankees have to rest following that Guardian series.
Exactly, but Harrison Bader's somehow been making a difference for the Yankees. Yeah. Do you want to give World Series? Who you got?
Let's see. So I have the Astros, and I don't think we actually
Phillies.
gave... Oh, yeah, I said the Phillies. My apologies on that. So Astros, Phillies. I'm going to take the Astros here. I love what the Phillies have been doing. I love the momentum they got, but the Astros just seem to be the more talented team overall. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Give me the Phillies. I had the Astros going to the World Series and losing. I'll stick with that. I think the electric environment helps them a lot there. Let's move on to the quick NBA. We just had our preseason special posted yesterday or a day or two ago. We've only seen 2 games. The Lakers looked horrible against the Warriors, undoubtedly, and the Celtics went and beat the Sixers with 35 points from each. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. So please check out our preseason specials. Y'all have predictions. Brandon, do you have any takes on the 2 games?
I mean, overall, just real quick, James Harden, you can't be making 2 guys fall, shimmy, and then miss both the threes. That's embarrassing, man.
I think James Harden's back. I think what Doc Rivers told him about being a scorer is going to help. That's why I predicted them to be the 1 seed. I'll give you guys a taste there. Yep. And by the way, the Lakers, I can already say they're not winning a playoff series. Brennan, let's get into our NFL. We usually start with this. We're going to just go full through the big games, do a quick run through, and then get to our predictions. Let's try and keep this quick.
Yep.
I don't want to talk about the Bears. I was at the Thursday night game. The team is unwatchable.
It's awful.
Velus Jones needs to get off the field. Amir Smith-Marset, thank God they waived him. Those 2 guys, in the 2 weeks before the Thursday night game, one of them fumbled a punt to lose us the game. One of them fumbled while running to lose us the game. And both of them are in late game this week. One of them muffs another punt, Velus, and one of them drops a pass or 2 and rushed for no game in the last drive in Amir Smith-Marset. So get them off the field. That's bad coaching. I talked early season now. I love the personnel Eberflus was using. That has completely flipped, and I think he's starting to lose the locker room. Brandon, Bills-Chiefs. This was the game we were looking most forward to, and it was a great game. It underwhelmed me a bit with the scoring, but those are the 2 best QBs in football.
Yeah, so this was a really great matchup. I really enjoyed this game. Shout out to Tony Romo, first things first, for predicting the score accurately. That was a pretty cool moment. But yeah, I think that this definitely put a lot of people on notice of the Bills. I mean, they have been other than their 1 loss, they've been blowing teams out. And I think people just are now aware of just how great the Bills are. But the Chiefs
everyone preseason knew the Bills were great. No one's aware. They were favored in Arrowhead for a reason. Do you know the last time Patrick Mahomes was an underdog at Arrowhead? Never.
Yeah. The Chiefs did hold their own, though. I think they showed me a lot. Juju had a major game. But yeah, Mahomes throwing 2 interceptions definitely hurts. And it's rare you see a Mahomes interception on the last drive of the game.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this just confirms what we thought. I don't think it's surprising to anyone by any means. We thought the Bills were favored for a reason. We wanted to see if they could overcome last year and win in Arrowhead, and they did. There's not much more to say. The other game that was expected to be great, Eagles-Cowboys. Is it safe to say Cooper Rush's starting job is over with?
Yeah, no, you were high on the Cooper Rush thing. He
was winning games. You keep the winner in.
Then he went in on a primetime game through 3 interceptions, and it just all went bad. The Eagles are here. Not that they weren't before, but now it's like they're still here.
Nothing new. I mean, I feel like this is the nothing new week. Everything was confirmed. The Eagles are solid on both sides of the ball. I want to say this, though. Dak Prescott, I don't see why put him back in yet unless he's legitimately fully healthy. I mean, these thumb injuries always hang around. I remember Jay Cutler injured his thumb or pinky like 10 years ago, and he was out for a while. Josh McCown actually looked great with that team, and Russell Wilson last year, he didn't look great after coming back from that thumb injury. And they're playing the Lions, then they're playing the Bears, then they get a bye. And I think Cooper Rush will solidly win those games. I think it's good to give Dak a tune-up. I think if your best player can play, you play him always. But if he's not fully healthy, please, Cowboys, it'd be stupid to throw him out there. Keep Cooper Rush in.
Yeah, they can take their time with that just based on the easiness of that schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Next game, Ravens-Giants. I don't know how the Giants keep doing it.
I do. They're a good team. There's not. What do you mean how? Their defense is good. Wink Martindale did great against his former team as the Giants defensive coordinator. Used to be the Ravens DC. And the offense scores points when they have to. Daniel Jones doesn't look great. Saquon, gets a lot of yards per rush. They don't have any great receivers by any means, but they've been finding a way to get 24 points.
It really is crazy.
Usually 24 points. It might not always be enough, but the Giants are finding a way to score just enough points to win and have their defense hold it. This is the exact type of game I'd expect the Giants to win.
Yeah, the Giants, I was going to say, they've been surprising a lot of people. The thing I'm most curious about is, will the narrative change now, or will people continue to predict the Giants to lose these games?
The narrative's changed in my mind. I mean, I don't understand why there's 3-point dogs in Jacksonville. But what I do want to say, though, is that this isn't all the Giants. Just like last week I said Green Bay was bad, and I was right after what we saw from them this week. I think the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, although he started the season on fire, although he was my MVP prediction, he's not that accurate. He's been missing a lot of pretty open passes. I think the worries have kind of disappeared. I think they need to start to resurface about Lamar's arm.
Yeah, there are definitely some flaws in his game, but with that being said, I feel like the thing about Lamar that we'll always have is just the fact that he's able to just completely change the way an offense is run. That's kind of a given.
And the Giants defense played well, so I'll give him credit. We'll give it a few more weeks to realize if this was really more good Giants or bad Ravens. Do you have any prediction on that?
I think as of right now, it's just good Giants. I think that it's hard to say bad Ravens this early.
And then how about the Jets? One in Green Bay, 27-10. Good Jets, bad Packers?
I think good Jets. I really do. I think that the Packers played a bad game. Don't get me wrong.
The Packers didn't play a bad game. The Packers are a bad team.
I like the sound of that more. But with that being said, the Jets, although their offense isn't the prettiest thing, their defense is legit. I think that it's something we need to start to realize. I think Sauce Gardner. Okay, I have a quick Sauce Gardner tangent if you don't mind me going on it. So the thing about cornerbacks I don't like is that if a cornerback has 1 or 2 good games, they're automatically top 10. But if they have 1 or 2 bad games, they're automatically horrible, get them off the field.
Yeah.
And the thing I don't like is that Sauce Gardner went from oh yeah, he's good to Sauce Gardner's top 5. And I think that although he had a great game against Green Bay and absolutely locked up Allen Lazard, it's not a fair thing to say this early on. I think that there are a lot of
and then the expectations will be too high.
Exactly. And then suddenly it's going to be well, he's bad, he peaked, get him off the field. And I think it's an unfair standard to set. I think he's great, one of the best young corners in the game, but I could think of at least 10 guys, maybe even 15 I'd take ahead of him right now, just for not long term, but just for one game. Just one game, 1 minute, 1 instant.
Well put, Brandon. Thank you. And I wanted to say that although the Jets defense has a lot of bright spots, I'm not yet to call any part of this team legit. They're still, I think, rebuilding, even though they're 4-2.
They're a fun team to watch, though.
They're a fun team to watch, and I want to keep with that. This is bad Green Bay. They're not recovering. I said Minnesota would win the division preseason, and I said that they're not going to the NFC Championship, Brandon.
I think they can make a run.
They're not. But I will change my tone on the Packers making the wild card game. I don't think they will. The NFC might be weak enough for them to sneak in there, but I don't think there's a solution. I think the solution is fire the coach. I mean, when Aaron Rodgers says simplify the offense and LaFleur says don't simplify I don't know what that means. That shows 2 things to me. A, they're not on the same page, and B, Rodgers just saying I miss Devontae Adams.
Exactly.
The Rodgers era is over there. I'm going to say it now. This is going to be clipped. This is a hot take. Mm-hmm. I think Green Bay is done. I don't think they're going back to an NFC Championship anytime soon. I think unless they make major changes next season, getting a coach Rodgers loves, acquire a wide receiver, I think the time might be up.
Okay, so Spencer Stein, I completely agree with that in the sense that I just think right now they don't have what it takes. Yes, Rodgers, back-to-back MVP, hasn't succeeded in the playoffs with teams much better than this. So what's to say?
And they also aren't running the ball for some reason.
The defense has gotten worse in the offseason.
Yep.
The offense got significantly worse. Aaron Rodgers, the Matt LaFleur-Aaron Rodgers connection seemingly got worse as well. I think, like you said, unless something magical happens where they bring in a great receiver, the defense gets better, I think it's very hard to foresee.
Essentially, I'm going to sum it up in one sentence. All the things I was convincing myself to believe preseason as a Bear fan have it somehow come true.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to stay that way. But good for the Jets. Steelers, upset of the week, beat Tampa Bay 20-18. I don't think the Steelers are particularly good. Mitch was in the second half. the Bucs are in deep trouble.
The Bucs are
I
deep.
can't believe all of my predictions I'm hoping, like Brady falling off, Rodgers falling off, both teams not being good, have actually hit. I don't think I'm smart for them. I think that it's a coincidence, honestly. Like you're never going to predict the right time for Rodgers and Brady to fall off. Do you think the Bucs, like we said about Green Bay, are they in big trouble or will they bounce back?
The thing about the Bucs, and this is, yes, their O-line got a little bit worse, but their defense was so injured last year, and now their defense is seemingly fully healthy, and they've brought in more guys.
And they're playing fine. They're above average.
They're above
Top
average.
10, arguably.
But I think so back to what I was saying. So the defense is fully healthy now.
Yep.
That should be a plus. The offensive line didn't get a little worse. It's a little more than a little, but a little less than a lot. It's in that middle range. So what's really going wrong?
Tom Brady.
That's exactly right. And that's the issue I have is because Tom Brady, for the beginning of the year, it's like Tom Brady's held to such a high standard. He's won bad game, everyone flips. It doesn't look like the same Tom Brady.
He hasn't had any good games.
Everything. He's scathing by, but that's not something you can do being the greatest quarterback of all time.
He should have retired. Let's be honest. He's not into football, and I understand that something must have happened in his personal life that made him not want to stay unretired, but he's clearly not fully committed to the game. He went to Robert Kraft's wedding and missed the walkthrough, and then he goes
practice 4 times this week.
Yeah, and then he goes to the game and yells at the offensive lineman. Like, that locker room is eventually going to stop trusting the GOAT. And I know it's not something you'll ever expect them to do. But if he keeps doing stuff like this and their play doesn't improve, it's going to be real bleak there in Tampa. And I think that, as I said last week when we were arguing about who's better, the Cowboys or the Bucs, I think it's got to be the Cowboys long term, especially if Dak can come back, play better than Cooper Rush, and not change the team just for the rest of the season. Because I think that the reason I was worried about Dak going back to Dallas was because I thought the way the team played would change. Yeah. They all step up their play when they're playing with a backup quarterback in Cooper Rush. But if Dallas can keep playing like that and have the plus at QB, it's Philly and Dallas at the top, big drop off, and then you stick the Niners and then the Bucs in Minnesota.
I'm going to give you the same argument I gave last week, and that's the Bucs have given the Cowboys some trouble just of recently in time.
We'll see. I mean, I am not saying I'm right on the Brady. He can always bounce back, and I think it's an easy bounce back game this week against Carolina. Last one, Bren. Zappy over Mac. They beat the Browns 38-15. He's looked great.
Bailey Zappy might just be the man. But yeah, so Browns.
Tom Brady comparisons?
Not yet, Spencer. So the Patriots beat the Browns 38-15. I had trouble predicting this game. I wound up going with the Patriots just because of the legend of Bailey Zappy himself. But yeah, he could be legit. I'm not gonna jump the gun.
300 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think he's better than Mac. I'll say it now. I think he's better than Mac.
Rating.
I think he's better than Mac Jones. I think why not stick with him? They're both systems QBs, and he's been looking better. He's not. I'm never gonna.
Everyone's criticizing the pick too.
I know, and I'm never gonna say he's the next Tom Brady. I don't believe that. Yeah. But I'm just saying, 7th round pick, 1 round later than Brady, comes in for an injury and looks this good. Brady didn't look like an MVP first year. He looked like an above average game manager. That's what Zappy looks like. I don't expect it to stay that way, but I think Zappy. I genuinely think there's a greater than 1 in 3 chance that he becomes their long-term QB over Mac Jones, and I think they should. Same thing with the Cooper Rush opinion. I think they should stick with him until Mac's healthy,
until he's fully healthy,
or until he loses and looks bad. Like if Zappy's looking good, stick with him. It's not like Mac looked good enough to get his job back.
As I say, Mac. It's one of those things.
He's not entitled to get his job back, Bledsoe wasn't.
I think the pick that they spent on Mac Jones, especially if Zappy winds up being their guy, I'm more if than you in this situation. I feel will look very, very bad.
I don't. It was a good pick in the moment. They wouldn't have known a 7th round QB would get there. No, that was the right pick.
Even from the day he got drafted, the next day you and I were on the podcast saying, yeah, he's like a pro-ready guy, but he's not going to fill the shoes of Tom Brady.
Yeah, but he didn't need to fill the shoes. I think no matter what, they needed a QB there more than anything else, and I think that was the right call. Let's move on to rapid fire. Monday night game. Chargers beat the Broncos 19-16 in overtime. The Chargers, Brandon, they're not a great pick. You had them.
Yeah, they've been looking.
You had them winning that division. They've not looked great. And also the Broncos, I really think they might be at the point of no return with Russell Wilson. Yeah. I don't see a bounce back coming.
Yeah, they're trash, dude. The Broncos are trash. Chargers aren't making my pick look too good. I'm going to get to the team I also picked. Vikings, Dolphins. Although the Vikings have been somewhat disappointing, they're 5-1, led behind Kirk.
They're not somewhat disappointing at all.
I mean, I expected more of them.
You expected more than 5-1? Okay, keep going.
I expected some, big deal, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Justin Jefferson, still that guy. Overall, Vikings good. Dolphins they had Teddy Bridgewater because Skylar Thompson went out early. Teddy didn't look bad. 2 interceptions isn't great, though, but he seemed
Also, why weren't they
45
playing
year-old.
Teddy if he was allowed to play? That whole thing
it was
confused me.
very weird.
Seahawks 19 at home, Cardinals 9. Cardinals are done for in that division. They're last. The Seahawks are fighting hard, and I just think it shows they're not legit, but look to D-Hop coming back this week. We'll see what happens Thursday Night Football, but Gino's there to stay in Seattle.
For sure. Next, Bengals, Saints. Joe Burrow had a really big game back in the Superdome. That was definitely
Dalton
fun.
looked decent.
Yeah, Dalton had a big game, former Bear. I just enjoy watching Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase play. I know that's like a thanks captain obvious, but yeah, that's my take on the game.
Colts, Jaguars. Colts won 34-27. Finally slayed the Dragons that the Jaguars have been. I think they might be bouncing back. Matt Ryan looked better than he has in a couple seasons.
Broke some records in this game.
Broke some records. I know he had 58 passing attempts, but he also threw for 390 yards and 3 touchdowns. And by the way, Colts have looked. Deion Jackson this game has supported the Colts running game better than I've seen Jonathan Taylor do maybe ever. I'm not saying he's better than Jonathan Taylor. I'm not saying that this game was something Jonathan Taylor couldn't have done. But this season, Jonathan Taylor hasn't done things that have made an impact to them winning, and he didn't really do that much in late last year.
Historically good last year.
No, but I don't think he affected their winning as much as Jackson did this week. I mean, Deion Jackson had 10 receptions for 80 yards. Since week 11, Jonathan Taylor hasn't had as many total yards as Deion Jackson had this game. I'm not saying he's better. Not saying they should stick with him at all. Not saying anything like that. I'm just saying he impacted this game in a way I haven't seen JT do since early last season.
There might be some recency bias in that statement, but I'll let you get
I mean, what's recency bias about that? I'm not saying he's better. I'm just saying JT hasn't really affected their winning.
Last year for the end of the year, it was like they were just riding on JT, it feels. But yeah, moving on to the worst team in the NFL versus the LA Rams. The Rams got their... The Rams got the win they needed to maybe hopefully put them back on track. Matt Stafford's still somewhat inefficient out there. But yeah, the Carolina Panthers, like, starting to trade away their guys makes sense. I know they got rid of Robbie Anderson. They're hearing calls for DJ Moore and CMC. It might be time that they're just blowing everything up there.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say the worst team in the NFL versus the Panthers because the Rams have not looked good by any means. Last game, Falcons-Niners. I just want to talk about this like the Seahawks. The Falcons are going to fight every week. I think they're going to keep picking up wins. I don't think they're making the wild card game, but I think in a few weeks they're still going to be there in the hunt with Seattle. Niners, I expect you to win this game. Classic Jimmy G, but he'll keep the team on track, trust me. Brandon, let's move into our Week 7 predictions, starting with the Thursday night game. D-Hop's returning for the Cardinals at home against the Saints. Who you got?
I think this is not going to be a good
And Hollywood Brown's going to be out for a few weeks for the Cardinals, too.
Yeah, so first things first, real quick. Thursday night games have been awful. That stays this week.
Yep.
I think that the Cardinals win this one, but I just think boring game overall. Might not even tune in.
The NFL's been horrible. I'm not going to lie. The fantasy points are down 22% points, and college football and MLB have been way better. I'm taking the Cardinals here. I don't think D-Hop's going to instantly be great, but I do think Marshawn Lattimore being out helps him assimilate. Give me the Cardinals here.
Next, Falcons-Bengals. Last week, the Falcons surprised me. I don't think that happens again. I think Joe Burrow seeming to getting stuff on track. I think they come out of this game 4-3, so that's a Cincy win for me.
I was going to take the Falcons here. I think they've been surprising me a lot. I don't like the Bengals, but I'm going to go with the Bengals by like a field goal or 4 points. I think they find a way to pull it out late. Very similar to last week's game in New Orleans. Lions, Cowboys. Brandon, who you got? Dak's back.
I'm going to take the Cowboys. Maybe. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I think this could be a weird game, and the Lions could very well prove me wrong, but right now I'm going with Cowboys.
There's no doubt in my mind the Cowboys win, but I think it goes way under. The under over 49. You rarely see one like that in the NFL, but I think the Lions struggle to score actually because before their bye week they put up 0 against New England. Dallas's defense is better. I think the Lions barely get to double digits, and I think the Cowboys against a horrible Lions defense, Dak still struggles to get back, giving them 21-10. Colts at Titans rematch. The Colts, by the way, after this week will have played 5 of their divisional opponents already in the season. Pretty early to do that. Good. They already lost to the Titans once at home. Will they pick up a win on the road?
My upset pick thus far right now is going to be the Colts winning this game. I have them upsetting the Titans. Neither team's like particularly great. I think that whatever team wins this division gets pretty much embarrassed in the playoffs.
Derrick Henry outplays JT, but Matt Ryan outplays Tannehill, and that's going to be enough. If JT's even healthy, that's going to be enough. I think they avenge, just like they avenged the loss against Jacksonville, they avenged the loss earlier against Tennessee. Get back on track, get back in the driver's seat of this division. Give me the Colts on the road. Packers at Washington. Wentz is out 4 to 6 weeks, so that's going to be Heineke. Who you got?
Should be a no-brainer, but honestly, I think the Commanders keep it close. Give me Green Bay by a field goal.
I actually think Heineke helps the Commanders there, but I will not keep riding this Green Bay hate train. It will end at some point. It would honestly be naive to take them losing here, but I do think that Heineke helps the Commanders here. Give me Green Bay by 6. Bucks at Panthers. Bucks favored by 11. Last week they were favored by 10.5. I had them winning that in the blowout. They lost. Do they win this one in the blowout?
I think they're going to beat the punching bag in the NFL. Yes.
I think this game's more similar to Rams-Panthers last week. I think the Bucs look bad again, but still find a way to cover.
Yep.
Giants at Jags. Jags are favored by 3, as I said. 5-1 team, 2-4 team. Is that wrong?
Giants are gonna win it. It's just gonna keep happening. It's so weird, but you know what? The Giants are gonna keep winning.
I know what we're getting out of the Giants. I just don't know what we're getting out of T-Law.
That's true.
So that's gonna be what the game depends on. And I think we get the worst Jags team, the one that we've seen the last 2 weeks. Give me the Giants here in an upset, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Browns at Ravens. AFC North battle. Who you got?
I'm going to take Baltimore here by a touchdown. I think that the Browns have been kind of all over the place. So have the Ravens, but I think the Ravens at their midpoint are still better than the Browns.
I was going to say, I'm really worried about the Ravens and their play, but I think the Browns have just looked worse. Give me the Ravens here to win at home.
Okay, perfect. Jets, Broncos, all start here. I'm going to take the Jets here.
Yeah.
The Broncos have looked awful.
Me too.
The Jets have looked good recently. That's why I'm going with the Jets.
Both defenses are good, but the Broncos' offense might be worse. I mean, that's sad to say. Their offense is better, but they're more mistake-prone. I think the Jets' defense steps up big here late. They win a low-scoring one in Mile High.
Perfect. Texans, Raiders, I am not very excited for this game. What I am excited for is for hopefully the Raiders to cover 7. I have them winning by 10.
I'm not blinking. I told you the Raiders are going to be back. I told you they're going to make a playoff push even after starting 1-4. I stand by it. They come out of the bye week firing. Biggest blowout of the week is this game. Raiders win it big.
So yeah, Seahawks, Chargers, the next one. Before the season, if you told me the spread of this was 17.5, I'd believe you. It's 6.5. Geno honestly has been playing to the level of Justin Herbert, if not maybe better in some people's
Herbert's
eyes.
better.
Obviously, but Geno Smith for his role, you think about it, whatever. With that being said, I'm going to take the Chargers here by 3. I think the Seahawks cover.
Seahawks here in an upset. No comment. Chiefs at Niners, Brandon. Who you got?
I'm going to take Kansas City here. I think that
Super Bowl rematch.
I think they're going to be mad after what happened against Buffalo, and I think they're going to prove it against the 49ers.
Just like the Super Bowl, Jimmy G makes mistakes late. The only difference is going to make mistakes early, too. Give me the Chiefs here, maybe 31-17. Steelers at Dolphins. Sorry, primetime game once again.
Yeah.
I got the Dolphins here winning big. I think the Steelers last week won because the Florida team was bad. This week they're going to lose because the Florida team's good. Tua return. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I think Tua is playing. I'm not 110% sure on that. If he plays, give me the Dolphins.
What if he doesn't?
If he doesn't play, would it be Teddy or Skyler?
Who cares? I'm taking the Dolphins no matter what.
Yeah, Dolphins by 3 if Tua doesn't
and
play.
Pickett
Dolphins
might be out.
By 10 if... Oh, my God.
Let's end with our Bears. Brandon, we'll move on.
Yep.
Let's move on to our Bears. Prime time. I don't know why they keep putting us on prime time against Zappy. Honestly, if Mac Jones was playing, I was going to pick us to upset. Preseason, I thought we had a chance, and I think Fields actually looks decent. I don't know why. I have a feeling. With Amir Smith-Marset off the team, I think everything improves.
Does Velus Jones field our punts?
Hopefully not. But I think Zappy is honestly going to show that he deserves to stay the starter. I think the Bears defense, although they've surprised me and looked good, I think they finally falter in this game. Give me the Patriots 24-10.
Yeah, alternate spread here. Patriots minus 10.5. You can lock that one in. The Bears have just been hurting my soul, my heart.
Sad week with the Bills, Rams, Vikings, and Eagles on bye. Those are some of the most exciting teams in the NFL and the Rams. So we just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Watch our preseason NBA special, and yeah, we're excited that everything's ramping up. NHL season started too.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of exciting stuff going on in sports. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check out all of our clips, and yeah, thank you so much.